Welcome to the Repugen Podcast, where we transform patient care.
Welcome to the Repugen Podcast, where we transform patient care. Welcome back to another episode of the Repugen Podcast. Again, here with you is Jennifer, with my co-host, John. You know, John, I was looking at some patient survey data recently, and it's wild. Over 90% of people trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation now. It's completely changed the waiting room experience before the patient even walks in.
It really has. But there's always been this debate. Is it just about the stars, or does the quantity of reviews actually move the needle on trust? To settle it, we reached out to 9 healthcare professionals from different sectors to get their take.
And the first perspective really sets the stage. Dr. Rostislav Ignatov, the chief medical officer at the Haven Detox, looks at this through the lens of social proof. He told us, modern patients don't just simply book an appointment. They take to heart what is said about the doctors and the organization. The more positive reviews, the better. There is safety in numbers, and humans are biologically wired to look at what the tribe says.
That tribe mentality is a great point. If you see 100 reviews at 4.5 stars, you feel safe. But if I see a doctor with only 3 reviews, even if they're perfect, I'm thinking, okay, is this just their mom and 2 best friends?
It's interesting, though. Do you think patients are consciously thinking that, or is it more of a gut feeling?
Honestly, I think it's mostly instinct. People don't sit there and analyze it. They just feel more comfortable when they see volume.
Exactly. It feels like a fixed game. But it's not just about safety in numbers. It's about what those numbers say about your career. That's what Dr. Michael Kane from the Indiana Center for Recovery pointed out. He sees review volume as a sign of time in the seat. He said, most people won't trust a doctor with only a handful of reviews. It can lead to the impression that the doctor is a brand new med school grad. Having many patient reviews takes time and experience, 2 things that engender trust.
That's a subtle mental shortcut we all take, right? We assume more reviews mean the doctor has been around the block a few times.
Right, and that assumption kicks in almost immediately, even before you dig into the details.
But even if they are experienced, our brains are still doing this weird math.
And the crazy part is, most people wouldn't even realize they're doing that calculation.
Exactly. It just feels right without you knowing why.
Total math. Dr. Greg Feinerman actually called it statistical safety. Listen to how he breaks down the psychology. Your brain wants to think that 400 plus reviews with a 4.8 star average means something. It means statistical safety. Fewer reviews, even if they're all 5 stars, create more doubt because there haven't been enough people to prove the doctor's predictability.
Predictability. I love that word. It's like, if 400 people had a good time, the odds are I will too.
Right, because at the end of the day, people aren't looking for perfect. They're looking for safe.
But it's not always just about the math. Sometimes it's about finding a connection.
Yeah, and that's where it shifts from numbers to something much more personal.
Right.
And you know that's where Stephanie Lewis from Epiphany Wellness comes in? She talks about identity matching. She told us, when patients see a provider with more than 200 reviews, there is a statistically greater likelihood that they will find a review that expresses a similar experience as the patient's own. This identity matching creates a greater level of trust than a provider's sterile hospital biography can create.
That hits home. A hospital bio is so clinical, but a review from a mom of 3 who had the same surgery as you, that's where the trust actually happens.
Yeah, that's the moment it stops being data and starts feeling real. And get this isn't just a feeling, it's actually chemical.
Wait, chemical? Like in the brain?
Yeah, Dr. Lauren Grauert explained that reading these reviews actually changes your brain chemistry. She said, seeing that 500 other individuals have survived and thrived with a provider triggers the release of oxytocin, the bonding chemical. This release actually reduces the amygdala's response to fear.
So a high review count is basically a digital sedative for an anxious patient.
Which honestly explains why people spend so much time reading reviews before booking. That is fascinating. But there is a flip side. Yeah, and this is where it gets a bit more complicated. Dr. Michael Genovese gave us a bit of a warning about the halo effect. He says, once a patient sees numerous positive reviews, the brain automatically categorizes that doctor as competent. However, as an attorney, I caution that increasing volume creates a higher threshold of perceived quality that, if not met in person, will lead to more dissatisfaction and a greater chance for litigation.
Oof, so you're basically a victim of your own success if you don't back up those 500 reviews with actual high-quality care.
That's a tough balance, building trust without overpromising.
It's like a movie that gets 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. If it's not the best movie you've ever seen, you leave disappointed.
Exactly. The expectations are through the roof. And you know, this next point might surprise a lot of people, which is why some experts say perfection is actually a trap. Jonathan Wong, an endodontist, had a really hot take on this. He says 5.0 ratings in 400 reviews of perfection don't look authentic, and patients pick up on this quickly. Most people don't want to know that they are perfect. They want to know the truth. That 4.7 average with the handful of critical comments reads authentic.
I'm so glad he said that. I always scroll straight to the 3-star reviews to see what the actual problems are.
Same here. It's almost like you trust the imperfections more than the perfection.
If it's just the parking was hard, I don't care. But if everyone is saying the doctor was rude, that's a red flag.
Totally. And Jonathan actually made another great point about how this trust follows the patient into the exam room.
Yeah, this part really stood out to me.
He noticed a difference in the actual appointments. The emotional temperature of that first appointment is greatly lowered if someone has already read dozens of experiences. Patients who did their homework sit down ready to move forward. Patients who don't are still wondering about whether they should even be there.
That's huge for the doctors. It means the selling is already done.
And it changes how the entire interaction starts.
You can just get to work.
But we have to remember, it's not just about having a mountain of reviews.
Right, there's still one piece people overlook.
Our final expert, Peter Moon, CEO of Herbahealth, reminded us that credibility is the foundation. He said, reviews have far less impact than the reviewer's credibility and the content. Generic 5-star ratings would barely influence trust. Honesty improves credibility.
So great doctor 5 stars doesn't do nearly as much as a story about how that doctor fixed a specific problem.
Exactly. It's the combination of the crowd, the biology, the authenticity, and the detail.
So if you had to sum it up, it's not just about more reviews, it's about what those reviews actually signal.
When you put it all together, review volume isn't just a marketing metric, it's a critical part of how trust is built before the first visit.
It really is. It's been an incredible deep dive today. Thanks for walking through these with me.
Always a pleasure. We'll see you all in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Refugium Podcast, your path to better healthcare.